Email still has some of the best ROI rates in digital marketing if you know how to create the right kind of content. I'm showing you how to craft emails that actually convert. Your email list is one of the most powerful tools you have in marketing your business. You own that list. Unfortunately, most emails end up unopened and ignored. How do you make your emails grab attention? Last week, I did a video all about email deliverability, which means actually getting your emails to show up in people's inbox. But that's really just step one. After they show up in somebody's inbox, how do you actually get people to open them and then take the next action of actually clicking? That's what I'm going to cover in today's video. Today, we're going to talk about your audience. We're going to talk about subject lines, the number one things that will get your emails opened as well as clicked. I'm going to show you inside of the software to help you figure out your analytics in order to improve your process for your specific audience, as well as give you some formulas and tips for writing. I'm Catherine Ferris, owner of Marketecs and Marketecs Engine. And what I'm talking about today is the same things that we run through every time I get a question about email marketing and email deliverability. And I will say that one of the number one places that I start is making sure that your emails are getting into the inboxes. So if you haven't watched last week's video all about the technical side of email deliverability, if you do not know what it means to have a dedicated email sending domain or your DNS records properly set up, please go back and watch last week's video, because no matter how good your content is, if it's not being delivered, it will never get opened and it will never get clicked. Now that we have the technical side out of the way, let's talk more about the actual email content. You can't write email content if you don't actually know who you're writing to. So you have to talk about knowing and understanding your audience. That can come in many different ways, but most often it comes through conversations, it comes through interviews, it comes through surveys. You need to really know what the words are that your clients are using so that you can speak those back to them and get their attention in a very short amount of time. Think back to your email inbox last week, or think about it today while you're going through your inbox. Look at all the emails that come in. And you're going to start to notice, okay, which emails do I automatically delete? Why do I delete them? Is it because it's a busy time of day and I just don't have time to look at all these and I know that they're not from a client? I don't recognize the name of a client. Or is it because the content just instantly didn't appeal to you? There was something about that. And at that time, you'll notice that the only thing you're seeing is the subject line and maybe the preview text. But this is why it's so important to understand your clients, understand how they operate, again, what's going to grab their attention. If you know that your audience is super busy on Wednesdays at 3, make sure you don't send emails at that time. If you know that they're not checking their emails on the weekend, don't send emails on the weekend because they're going to see them Monday morning. If you know that they're super busy entrepreneurs all week and the only emails they're reading are from their actual clients, but they might be catching up on other stuff on the weekend, maybe that's a great time to grab their attention. Some of these are tactics that are combined, knowing your audience and combined with good sending times. Those are two different strategies, but they're intertwined. With a lot of email strategy, it's not always one thing that makes this work, but it's a combination of efforts. You come back to, you understand your client, your target audience, your ideal client profile. You understand that person so you know what words and what times are going to grab their attention. And then you utilize those in these next pieces. If we think back to that exercise where you're going through your own inbox and determining, what am I going to read? What am I going to delete? You're usually determining that by that subject line. Statistics say 80, even as much as 90% of whether a person opens an email depends on the subject line. I would wager that another big piece of whether somebody opens an email or not is also the sender, depending on who this email is coming from. If it's from a client, if it's from a team member, you're probably going to open that message. If it's from somebody that you know is trying to sell you something, then you're probably not going to be as inclined. So that subject line becomes important because you have to show them there is value in this message, that there is a reason to open this message. And again, you have to make sure it lands in their inbox at a time when they're not completely overwhelmed and have a little more space to think about things outside of those squeaky wheels. And when we talk about subject lines, there are a few tips and tricks that can help if you look at some of the research. And I actually have a full article full of statistics and research and little templates and things that you can fill out in terms of trying to find your best hooks and your best headlines and your best subject lines. I will link to that in the description. But some of the stats say that if you use numbers in your subject line, or if you use something like a how to in your subject line, something that involves the idea of exactly what am I going to get out of this email. And we're going to come back to this idea of what am I going to get a few times, because that's the really important piece. Everything you do with email content, you need to come back to thinking about your audience and answering that question of what's in it for me, the so what test. If you can't look at the subject line and say, what's in this for me, and answer it really quickly in that one subject line, what am I going to get when I open this email? It's probably not going to get opened unless your name is super recognizable and you have a huge following, or they're expecting an email from you for some reason. Those are outliers. Outside of that, you're relying on that subject line very heavily. So your subject lines are super important. Next, when somebody is deciding whether to open your email or not, and again, this is that first stage, it got delivered to their inbox, and now they have to decide, do I want to open this message? Subject line is the first thing they see. The second thing they see is what we call preview text. Some people don't take advantage of this, and I think it's a very big missed opportunity. The preview text is quite literally a line or two right below the subject line that gives them a little preview of the first few lines in that email. If you put nothing there, then it's going to read something like the first standard lines are often, hi, Tom, just checking in today. Hi, Tom, this is an email about, and it's not very compelling. But this is really a key piece that you could take advantage of. This is a key piece of real estate that you could take advantage of, where you could expand upon your subject line or tease something else that's in the message. So you could add, maybe your subject line is how to trim your cat's nails in under 5 minutes. And then in that preview text, you have something along the lines of plus 50% off my favorite tool. So now I have two reasons to open your email. I know exactly what I'm going to get out of the subject line. I'm solving that problem of figuring out how to trim my cat's nails. And then the preview text tells me that I'm also going to get this bonus of a discount on something, and who doesn't like to save money? So that preview text is really an opportunity to support your subject line and give people a second reason to open your email, especially when all you have is those first couple of lines to get their attention. Really important in my mind in terms of getting those open rates up. So now we've been delivered, we get someone to open our email. The next piece is, what do they do with it after they open it? Do they actually engage or click on anything in the email? Now you have to provide real value. If I open the email and it has nothing to do with the subject line, I'm closing it, I'm deleting it. You've probably lost trust and credibility in my mind. I may see no reason to open any future emails from you. So you do want to be very careful. You don't want to clickbait people with your subject lines. You want to make sure when they open that email that they're getting everything you promised. In a lot of ways, this isn't any different from a YouTube video. When you clicked on the title of this video, hopefully I'm delivering everything that you expected from the title. Your emails are the same. When somebody clicks on that subject line, you want to deliver everything that you said in that subject line. Don't overpromise in your subject line and don't underdeliver in your content. Your content should be very clear, again, using your ideal client profile, using their language, using their structure, making sure that the images represent them if you use any images in your messages. And there's some back and forth about that, almost in terms of deliverability, but also readability. Some people will keep images out, so you have a better deliverability rate. Other people will keep them in because it does help with the cadence of people reading the email and grabbing attention. Images speak louder than words sometimes. So there's differing opinions as far as how you use images. And there's also differing opinions about whether you open with an image or content. Do you dive right into the message block, or do you have some sort of header that helps identify you and bring your branding into the message? And there's also some clever ways to do a little bit of both, just a very small logo for that brand recognition instead of a big chunky email header. Because just like a website, People may not when they open your email. Everything above the fold is really important. If somebody opens the email, think about the window of opportunity you have there, quite literally, what they're going to see when they first open. If they never scrolled, will they get the most important information? You want to think of all of this when structuring your email. You want to think about your ideal client. What are they looking for? When they open that email, are they going to see the value you promised? Are they going to see it quickly? Structure your email templates and the way that you write around these concepts. Some of my best practices are to keep those headers small up at the top, maybe even just a logo, just something that gives a little bit of recognition. Then open really quickly, kind of like you see people doing with a YouTube video or with the headline of a web page with exactly what this email is about and getting right into the deliverability. I also like to make sure that there is a clickable link above the fold in the email so that if they never scroll, they can still click right in the beginning of the email and get whatever it was that I promised. Not to say that I'm not going to explain it further down, have an additional link to that option, but I want to make it really easy to get to right in the beginning in case they don't scroll. Now, email length can vary, and again, we may come back to audience on this topic. Whether you have a very short email newsletter that just redirects traffic back to the individual items that they might be interested in, or whether you decide to go with a longer, more educational style email newsletter will depend on what you're doing. If you're talking about a sales campaign, the email lengths will vary. Toward the beginning, you want to build that know, like, and trust factor. You want to tell stories and include testimonials and statistics. As you get further down in those emails, you want to make sure that you're not filling it with a bunch of fluff, making it really quick and easy for them to just click the link and buy or register or whatever it is that you're asking them to do. Keeping in mind how those emails progress and what sort of content you're giving them, very easy for people to click right in the beginning of your messaging, get exactly what they need if they don't want to read the whole email. Which also brings us to the idea of those CTAs, call to actions. Those are your buttons, your link clicks. You want to not overwhelm your audience. You should have one clear goal in every email you send. This is what I want you to do. This is the action I want you to take. Here's the button to do it. And your wording on those buttons, on those links should be very clear. Click here to register for this. Click here for 50% off. These are very clear CTAs. I know exactly what I'm getting. There's nothing vague. And I don't have to over process this. We're all busy. We're trying to get through these emails and, oh, this looks slightly interesting. I'm going to open it and take a quick look. If I can't scan your email, find out what it's about, and click the next step without having to read every detail, I'm probably not going to take action. Your audience might be slightly different. You may have such a niche audience that they want to read all of your stories and every word you've written. But a good portion of us, that's not the case. You do want to be careful to make your call to actions very clear, very simple, very easy. Make your emails very skimmable so that people can get the gist of what you're talking about and then come back to it if they want to. Or again, take that next step without having to read every detail. Some additional things to consider in email deliverability would be segmentation and personalization. Most email marketing systems at this point make it easy to personalize and segment your lists. And you can do this based on maybe what lead magnet they opted in for. You could add special segmentations. You could personalize not just the hi John piece, but you could add people's names or business names or contact information within the email with some of those tags. Studies definitely show that the more you can customize a message, the more you can really speak to your audience, the better your open rates will be and the better your click-through rates will be, as well as your sales, just your outcomes of your emails. So the more I believe you're actually giving me something that I personally value, and again, you can show that through customization, personalization, segmentation, the more that I'm likely to take action on what it is that you're giving me, what it is that you're delivering. So finally, I've talked a lot about ideal audience through these various tips. And so the last thing I will say is that with anything in marketing, it takes repetition to really gain an understanding of what your audience wants. You can take all the best practices and tips, But I highly recommend you look at your own statistics. Look at your open rates over the course of 6 or 10 emails, your click rates over the course of those emails, and you see what are people clicking on? What subject line is making people open? These are super valuable statistics because this is really your audience and what they want. And you'll start to see trends. Do people click more when a subject line has their name in it or an emoji? Or does it help when I put their name in the preview line instead of in the subject line? Do people click more when I'm offering them a how-to versus a discount on something? Are they looking for my expertise or these quick wins? You'll start to notice trends as to when people unsubscribe. Are there certain days of the week that are bad to send emails? You get more unsubscribes. And unsubscribes are not always bad. Unsubscribes means your list health could be better and you could be improving. However, there are some ways to clean up your list or navigate your list so that you can segment people into the right batches and make sure that you're giving them the content that they want. I am going to cover this in another video where you can reduce your overall unsubscribes and improve your list health, making sure that people are getting exactly what they want and being a little more customized in how you offer those unsubscribes. Now I just want to take a quick look inside HighLevel and actually show you what some of those statistics look like and how you can see the results that you're producing. Here we are inside HighLevel, or our account, which is actually Marketecs Engine. We're in a demo account, so these are not necessarily real numbers. You can see right here it says you're viewing sample data. And if you're not familiar with HighLevel, this is a great platform where you can customize all of your messaging, really segment your list. It has a full CRM capabilities. We collect all kinds of data on our contacts in order to really be able to dial in on what's going to help us get that deliverability up, then get the open rates, and then the click rates. Taking a quick look, we are here in marketing, and then we go over to emails up at the top here, and we fall right into statistics. You're going to see that deliverability is going to be here. And then you're going to get your open rates and your click-through rates, and then your purchases or further actions taken. You can see how it's a cascading funnel, but it all starts with deliverability. Then you need to be able to get people to open and then click. If they don't take these steps, they can't take the next step. In this scenario, you can see how you're able to see overall trends. You can check open rates. You can look at unsubscribe rates, start to notice if there's certain days where people unsubscribe more. Notice if there's certain days of the week where people have higher click rates. And then you're able to see top performing emails. It's going to show you each one. You can click on them, actually see, okay, what was the subject line on that email? What was the preview text? Start to gain insights into what people are actually opening and what they're clicking. So in HighLevel, you have the option of sending regular emails, one-off email campaigns, whether it be an announcement or your newsletter, and then it's going to show you what some of these look like. And you're going to be able to see how many people it went to, opens, clicks, and how much revenue you made from it if you're actually selling something from these emails. You'll be able to look at what the execution dates were. This is super valuable information, being able to see what type of messages are actually working and why. But you do have to spend some time with this data. You do have to spend some time actually looking into, why did this email perform better than this? Was it the day of the week? Was it the time of the day? Was it the subject line? Which piece of the puzzle made people open this email over the other one? From email campaigns, you can look at workflows, which are typical more automated messages, automated workflows after somebody registers for something or after a lead magnet opt-in. Here would be more your automation. As you can see, you can get lots of great statistics. You can get lots of great data if you're sending your email from a system that has that capability. If you're not just sending it from Outlook or from Gmail. And your deliverability, as long as you do all the previous steps, you'll get the open rates, you'll get the click rates, but you have to look at that information. You have to go through and look at that data, do some of your own analysis and see, was it the subject line? Was it the day of the week that I sent it? Was the time of the day that I sent it? Start to build an understanding of what your audience wants and when they want it. And this is also a case for arguing why you should send multiple emails on similar topics. If you are doing a sales campaign, it's often recommended that you send 7+ emails. They usually start at least 2 weeks before your launch date. And this can vary, depend on exactly what you're doing. But this gives people the opportunity that they didn't see the first message, they deleted it, the subject line didn't speak to them, whatever it was, it gives them the opportunity to hopefully catch at least one of those emails and figure out if they're interested. It also allows you to understand what people are clicking on and collect some of that data for yourself to understand your audience and figure out how to do better next time. As I mentioned, we have a full article about email deliverability and getting your emails to convert that includes lots of statistics, lots of tips, and even little prompts to help you write better subject lines and just better content to help really get you thinking about your audience and how to word things in a way that is going to speak better to them. That link is in the description. If you don't have an email marketing system that will help you the way that HighLevel can, if you don't currently have those statistics or you want help understanding them, I've also put links in the description to book a consultation and to learn more about HighLevel, as well as our version, which is Marketecs Engine. So I hope this content was valuable and informational for you. I hope that your next email will get much better open rates and click rates. I invite you to drop a comment down below. Let me know what you've tried or what you're curious about if you have any questions. And please like and subscribe. Thanks.